Thank you, David. You're just on mute, I think. Oh dear. Kieran, is there any option here to help David?
What if I unplug?
That's it.
I think you're good now, David.
Yeah, David, you did something then and you started coming through. So whatever you unplugged before, unplug it again.
Okay, is that better?
Yes.
Wow, okay, that's odd. I'll take my headphones off and I'll just operate without them. So you can hear me loud and clear. Ka pai. All right, so kia ora everybody. My name is David Spears. I'm the Regional Relationships Director for Waka Kotahi for Waikato Bay of Plenty regions. I understand my purpose today here is to give you a bit of an update on the planning and progress towards safety upgrades on State Highway 1 from Cambridge to Piriri. We've got 30 minutes and I understand you've already had a written briefing. So what I thought I'd do is kind of hit the high notes and then really happy to take questions about State Highway 1, Cambridge to Piriri or anything else that's on your mind. And just noting, I've got James Caulfield here with me from Santec. James can give everyone a wave, just in case there's anything really technical, because I might not know the answers, but James certainly will. So the purpose, I suppose, of talking to you really was so that you are aware and can share with your communities of the work that we're doing on State Highway 1 between Cambridge and Piriri. As you will have all noticed, over the last few years, we've been doing quite a bit of work on safety upgrades along that stretch of road, and there's quite a bit more to come. And as you were informed in your briefing, the first component of that 2.5 kilometres of median barrier was installed back in 2020, and that's the wire rope median barriers. What we know about that piece of work is that there have been 40 different incidents where that wire rope has been hit, and 40 times potentially those incidents could have resulted in head-on crashes. So we know it works, we know it's working on that stretch of road, and we know it's the right thing to do on the remaining stretch of the road to reduce those deaths and serious injuries from crashes. It's a fairly complex stretch of road to put median barriers in place because of the number of access ways on and off and the issues with turning on and off. So it's taking quite a lot of planning. The next stage will see a total of 5 kilometres of median barriers installed along the 5.4 kilometre stretch from the reserve at the end of the stage 1 barrier all the way to just south of the Piriri side of Mangatree Road. We will keep the right turn bays at Keely's Reserve and Moana Roa Road, at least for now, and they will have gaps in the barrier. Now, our preference is not to have those gaps, but as you'll appreciate, the complexity of delivering turnaround bays or roundabouts at those at or near those sites is significant on that piece of road. We'll be doing that stage in sections. In the first section, I might actually see if I can share my screen and just pop up a map because it might be easier to talk to. Let me know when you can see the map.
David, thank you.
All right, Jane, can we see the map? Yay, all right. So the first section that we will be concentrating on is the section in the black box to the right. Yellow road with a black dotted box around it to the right-hand side of that picture. And that section is due to start construction in April, which is now, and right through May 2022. We're coinciding that with the maintenance works that we would normally do in this stretch of road as well, just for efficiency's sake. By necessity, that stretch of work will require us to close permanently the passing lane. And that's because we simply cannot create enough width through that section of road to maintain the passing lane and have median barriers. What we know from traffic monitoring along this section of the road is that by the widening we can do will enable people to pass, for example, very, very slow vehicles like agricultural vehicles safely within the width between the shoulder of the road and the median barrier. But what we also know is that the average speed along this section of road is very, very consistent for all cars. And the reason for that is when you jump on the passing lane, the passing lanes that are there, what tends to happen almost inevitably at high traffic flows is you run into the next lineup of cars and you slow down anyway. So there's a sort of temporary satisfaction in getting past those slow vehicles on the passing lane that's very, very quickly tempered by the next lot of slower vehicles. So we don't believe that removing that passing lane is going to have a significant and detrimental effect on people being able to use the road safely or generate what people will often say is we'll get people who behave badly as a consequence out of frustration. We don't believe that's going to be the case on this section of road just because of what we know about average speeds. The rest of the stage, which is the remaining yellow line, is anticipated to begin in 22-23, so over the summer of 22-23. The widening works required there are still being finalised, but there will be some widening works along that stretch of road, and we will retain the passing lane through that stretch of road because we can widen it. Notwithstanding my commentary before, there's always opposition to removing passing lanes. That's the more substantive component of the works, and we're still working on confirming absolute timing for that, but summer 22-23. And then the final stage 3 of the safety improvements, we're still working on feasibility, and that is the 7.8 kilometres of road from the end of Cambridge Road right through to the from the Cambridge Road end of the expressway through to Ferguson Gully Road, which is on the far left of this picture. And the reason that that's still in planning is that's the bit of road that is very complex. There are a lot of ins and outs. There are a lot of roads that come in. There are a lot of driveway accesses to work through. And the technical elements of designing that piece are far more complicated than the remainder. So we've given ourselves a little bit of time to sort that out. We're contemplating roadside safety barriers, flexible median safety barriers, roundabouts, intersection speed zones and rumble strips as a combination through there. So it will be quite a complex design and construction. One of the priorities also that we are working on is improving safety at all of the intersections, but particularly State Highway 1 and Cambridge Road, Karapiro Road, because we know that that is a site that causes a lot of angst for the public and actually for some of the heavy vehicle users that use that stretch of road quite a bit. We are in the process at the moment of working with stakeholders and landowners as we finalise the design, because we're really cognizant of the impact that these works can have on people's freedom of movement in and out of the road network. But our priority has to be and will be making that road as safe as possible for the remainder of its life. As you know, in the longer term, we have plans to bypass this section of road, but delivery of that is sometime in the future. And so making this road safe and usable is a high priority for us. I'll probably stop there. That's probably enough detail. I know you've got a briefing paper that has more detail, and just see if there's any questions, comments. Jane can tell me if I missed anything.
Yes, you did miss a little section.
Can't hear you, Jane.
Sorry.
I can't hear anybody.
Okay. You have missed a little section. Maybe James could talk about that. It's from Mangatree Road up towards State Highway 129. And I wonder if James would be ideal to sort of give a little bit of an update on that. Did everybody hear me okay on that?
Yeah, I heard you.
Thank you.
Yeah, hi everyone. So as Jane mentioned, there is a section that goes from Mangatree Road up the existing passing lane and terminates just before the access to Karapiro Lodge, and that similar to the section that we're implementing in the next month or so, that will reallocate the passing lane that goes up the hill. And there's a couple of reasons for that. One is it's quite a active hillside, so cutting into it anymore is problematic. But the other part is there'll be a roundabout at the top of this hill, and we don't want traffic merging at high speeds directly into queuing traffic for a roundabout. So there's two reasons for that. And as part of through the design process, we haven't got as far as to determine whether there'll be a slow vehicle bay on that to utilize the uphill section, but certainly the passing lane will be removed.
Thanks, James. Okay, any comments, questions, anything anybody's dying to know? I might leave the map there actually in case we want to reference back to it.
Okay, Philip,
Councillor Collins.
Yeah.
On mute, Philip.
Sorry, yep, I was just trying to get my pages open. Yeah, thanks guys and girls, ladies, everyone, for your report. I see on the passing lane, the median barrier, that's just fantastic. That's going to be continued, and that's what you've mentioned in the past. And as you know, everyone knows, I mean, it saves lives. And you mentioned 40 incidents where vehicles have gone into the centre line, and that's you know, reduce any injury or further injury or even death and things like that. So that's just really exciting. Just seeing on the council website and your own website, you've got some road closures and various things over this week. You've got a stop go on the 19th, which is today, to the 21st. That's to do with some tree cleaning work. And then next week, I think Tuesday through to Thursday, the road will be closed during the day. So that's obviously going to be a major inconvenience. So that road closure, is that part of the putting the centre barrier up? Because you talked about April and May as putting the centre barrier up. Is that part of that work, or is that some other work, or what? Please, yeah.
James, do you want to jump in on?
Yep, sure. So it's a combination of both. So originally the barrier was going to go in the sort of summer construction season, starting sort of after October of this year, but the maintenance contractor coming in to do quite a significant rehab through that section, and as part of that they'll resurface about half of that passing lane, and so it made sense to go in and do the new line marking as part of that rehab. So in essence, the closure is initially for the resurfacing, but then we'll do the line marking and the barrier as part of that to, I guess, to reduce overall frustration to the motorist.
So that part of that road closure next week it's all part of that work from what Beck's up to Mangatree.
Yeah.
Road,
so about 900 meters back from Mangatree Road will be completely resurfaced, and then the remaining part of the passing lane, they'll be taking some line marking out and remarking, and then putting the barrier that full length so it effectively closes the passing lane.
Yeah. And going up the hill towards Highway 29, you mentioned taking that one out as well. But if you put a slow lane in there, or slow lane or whatever, is that's still a passing lane really, effectively? I mean, you've still got trucks going up on the left-hand side in the slow lane, and cars trying to kamikaze past the last truck so they can get in. You know, you've still got a passing lane anyway, haven't you?
Well, I guess they're both passing opportunities, but they function a little bit different, and you tend to get not the same level of, because it's much shorter facility, you don't get the same high speed mergers that you get with passing lanes.
Yeah. And then the Karapiro intersection, you know, that's been topical for years and years and years. Luckily, we haven't got many, you know, we haven't got the international tourists coming to Hobbiton and what have you at the moment, so we've got a little bit of a reprieve. But have we got any time frame for any improvements to that intersection? It's you know, it's been a few years since that the expressway project has been pulled and nothing's been done there. Have we got any time frame for any improvements to that intersection before the tourists start coming back and everything like that?
So I'll probably have to defer that because I'm not really.
Yeah, sorry, I missed the first part of the question, Philip. Which intersection are you referring to?
Well, the Karapiro, the mobile garage intersection, you know, as a priority. We haven't got the international visitors here at the moment. We've had a bit of a reprieve. They'll be back in the next year or two, and so there's going to be another year or two before anything's done there, because nothing's been done to that intersection at all with signage, white painting. You know, we've talked about, you know, flashing lights and various things to slow people down, the speed limit lights and things. Has got any time frames or anything there?
I can't give you.
Maybe I can answer that, David, if that's okay.
Yep.
That's still being worked on, the designs, and we have to have some engagement with landowners and the council staff as well. So it's still in feasibility stage. Once we've gone through that process, and that will also include some community engagement, then we will be able to apply for funding, and we'll have a better idea of timeframes then. But it is a priority for the organisation, so I'm got my fingers crossed it will be soon.
I'm not, you know, I'm not trying to be smart or anything like that, but it's been a priority for a few years and nothing's been done. And there's going to be a few more years before anything gets done. And I know that's a major intersection, but you know, Hydro Road, Higgins Road, Ferguson Gully Road, they're all major intersections or major concerns and issues for local residents and things like that. But let's not make it another year or two before anything gets done, or a review gets finished, or another review gets done. Yeah, you know how the community and businesses are feeling about it all. So
yeah, look, Philip. Yeah, look, I mean, we understand your concerns, Philip, but there's demands for time and money all around the country. And
yeah, it's not just my concerns, of course.
But effectively, we take our turn, don't we? Basically.
Yeah. But you know, I drive around the country a lot, and you see a lot of other intersections. They're not even state highways, and they've got more done to them than these ones, including, you know, the big portable signage message boards and things like that. They're on you know, just on council roads, but they're obviously a priority for NZTA because the intersections with state highway ones or state highways and things like that. But again, nothing gets done with this, and this is your main state highway, north south, and yeah. But anyway, that's enough. Thank you,
Liz.
I was just going to say to the team at Ruka Kotahi, just look forward to being part of that review. And, you know, obviously, you know, I don't disagree with what Philip has said, but I understand your pressures and the pressures that are around the country. So look forward to being part of that when, you know, when you when you can get to it. But yeah, don't forget us. That's all we need to say.
Yeah, look, I think just the key point to take away there is we want to make sure we do the right thing at that site, and it's not as simple as many of the other sites. Unfortunately, it's got a mixture of heavy vehicles and tourists and terrible right turning situation, which we all acknowledge. And many of those treatments simply don't work under those environments. Unfortunately, we've got to make sure we do the right thing and do it well. So, yep. it's coming, and it's not coming quick enough. But
Okay, Bruce.
Thank you. I'm all for the centre medium barriers. What's the cost per kilometre installed? Have you any idea? Could you tell us that? I'd be interested to pass that on if some people say to me, "They'll look at that," but it's saving lives. But I'm all for it. But I'd be interested.
James can probably tell you. It varies project by project.
Yeah, it is highly variable. So State Highway 1, the stuff. So I guess I've got a relatively limited view on the stage 1 because work had already been done to widen some of that road. But when we inherited that widened road as part of this safety improvement, to put the barrier in, it cost 900,000 for 2.4 kilometers, of which nearly half that was traffic management.
Oh, no.
So
Wow.
and because as you imagine, it's incredibly dangerous to work on a road as busy as State Highway 1, but overall this corridor represents really good value for barrier because the pavement, well, by taking 2 passing lanes and some widening, and there's 2 passing lanes that were removed historically at the start near the expressway, and so there's available pavement in there to put barrier in, so it ends up being quite a value for money safety improvement.
No, thank you for that. I appreciate it, especially when you put traffic management into it and saying, well, that sort of helps ease the pain, really. But we need it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Luke.
When you look at the cost of deaths and serious injuries in our region, which is more than 1.4 billion a year, it's a tiny fragment. It's a tiny percentage of that cost. In fact, it's some of the cheapest interventions we can put in place in the State Highway network. So it's huge value for money. And when you look at that section of 2.5 kilometres of section that we put in since December 2020, 40 times that's been hit. So potentially 40 deaths and serious injuries. Each of those, never mind the human cost, but the economic cost would have paid for that stretch of medium barrier many times over already.
Yeah, thanks, David. Lou, you've got a question and/or
comment? Just a quick comment on the intersection on Karapura Road. We just granted a resource consent for Festival 1. So that is probably puts a little bit of priority, probably about 2,000 or 3,000 people that'll be actually utilising that. We were warned about it, so that's the intersection that they're going to be accessing, that Festival 1, which was previously located at Mystery Creek. So just wanted to say that would probably accelerate that a bit. Second thing is, as an avid motorcyclist, of course, I don't like cheese cutters because no matter what happens, those wires slice us up. I've seen a lot of my friends get hurt with them. So if we get hit, we get hurt. Simple.
Okay, I guess that's about where we're at. Thank you for that presentation, and well, we look forward to that road being safer. No two ways about it. And I totally take on board what you said about the economic cost of deaths and injuries. It's absolutely massive. So cool.
Well, thank you guys. Thank you for your support, and we really appreciate